Hello my dear students, how are you? Hope you all are doing good. So today we are going to study about a new chapter, chapter number 1, the cell structure of class ninth. So what we are going to study inside this chapter, we will discuss the introduction of the cell and we will talk about the discovery of cell. Then we will discuss the cell theory and its points. Then we will describe the differences between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and at last we will study about the basic structure of cells. So let's begin in this chapter. Okay. So all living organisms, whether plants or animals, are composed of cell. A cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life. Mind it, the cell is called the basic structural and functional unit of life. Why? Why it is called so? Because every organism, the body of every organism is made up of cells. So that is why it is a structural unit, and an individual cell can perform all the function. That is why it is called the functional unit. Okay. So we will discuss other points about the cell. So next, from the microscopic organisms like protozoans and bacteria to the large ones like blue whales and gigantic trees, all are made up of cells. These all organisms are made up of cells. But according to the number of the cells present in their body, organisms can be categorized as unicellular or multicellular organisms. Those organisms that consist only one cell are called unicellular organisms, and the organisms that contains many cells or millions of cells are called the multicellular organism. So organisms can be categorized as unicellular or multicellular. Okay, so we will talk about the discovery of cell. Robert Hooke was an English scientist. So who was the first person to observe cell in 1665? How he observed the cell? He studied a thin slice of bottle cork under his self-made microscope, in which he observed box-like compartment resembling a honeycomb structure and gave them the term as cells. So he observed a cork is a dead wooden, you can say. So and when he observed a piece of cork under his self-made microscope, so he observed various kind of compartment. Okay, so these compartment he denoted as cells. The compartment that I'm going to highlight with the yellow color, these are the cells. So he was the first person who observed the cell first time, okay, by utilizing his special microscope. Next, later, with an advancement in techniques and refinements in microscopes, scientists now can easily study the fine structure of cell. So you can see here is an electronic microscope. So very fine refined structure of cell we can see here. Okay. Next, we are going to discuss about the cell theory. So cell theory. First, Matthias Slidin in 1838, he was a botanist who was specialized in studying the plant only. So he studied the plant tissue and stated that all plant tissues are composed of cell. So he examined the different part of the cell under the microscope, and what he found at that time, he found that each and every part of the plant is made up of the cells, numerous cells. And he also stated that cell can perform various kind of metabolic activities or life processes like photosynthesis, transportation, hormone production, etc. And after that, a year later, in 1839, Theodor Schwann, a German zoologist, observed the different animal tissues or different body parts and reported the same thing. He reported that all animals or all the body parts also consist of cells which perform different specialized function for the body. So in this image you can see the different body cells: blood cells, intestinal cells, liver cells, brain cells, muscle cells. So each and every body part is made up of different kinds of cells. So in the same year, 1839, they unified their idea, they combined their observation and produced the cell theory. So he produced, or he stated the different, they stated the different points. What were the points? According to the cell theory, all organisms, plants and animals are made up of cells. Means every living organism on this earth are made up of the cells. Cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life that we have already discussed. Okay. Later in 1855, after some years, another scientist, third scientist, Rudolf Virchow, made an addition to the cell theory, and he said one important thing: omnis cellula e cellule, means all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. All cells arise from the pre-existing cells by the cell division. Okay, so as you know that our body is developed from a zygote. Zygote was a single cell. So now, right now we have million billion cells in our body. So how they are produced? So each and every cell inside our body is arise from their ancestral cells or the pre-existing cells. Okay, so now you must be clear about this idea of the cell theory. So we are going to discuss another point of this chapter, which is the difference between the prokaryotic versus eukaryotic cells. The study of cells under the electron microscope reveals that the cell can be categorized or classified into two groups depending on the complexity of the organization in them. These groups are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. What type of cells they are? Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. And you can see here it is a kind of electron microscope. So electron microscope can be used to magnify the structure of a cell up to many times, up to lakh times. So it can magnify our cell structure very precisely. Okay, so next, but what is the meaning of prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell? Pro means early or primitive. Karyons means nucleus. U means true, or karyons means nucleus. So you can see here, this is a kind of eukaryotic cell. A well developed nucleus is present here. This part is called nucleus. But here it is a kind of prokaryotic cell. Here well developed nucleus is absent. So now we are going to discuss the differences between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So here is a table that have, or that is listed with the differences, various kind of differences of the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So one by one we are going to discuss these differences. So prokaryotic cells, these cells are very small, microscopic, generally 1 to 10 micrometer in diameter. But on the other hand, eukaryotic cells comparatively large in size and can vary from 5 to 100 micrometer. So you can see the difference between the size of the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cells are the primitive cells, thus they are smaller as compared to the eukaryotic cells. Next difference, nuclear membrane is absent, and here inside the eukaryotic cell nuclear membrane is present. Why nuclear membrane is absent in the prokaryotic cell? Because no true nucleus is found. Only a nuclear region called nucleoid is present. Only nucleoid is present, but true nucleus is absent. But here on the other hand, in the eukaryotic cell a distinct true nucleus is present. So they have true nucleus. All the genetic material remain present inside the nucleus. Okay. So in prokaryotic cell, genetic material in the form of single chromosome only in prokaryotic cell. But on the other hand, in the eukaryotic cell, genetic material in the form of many chromosomes. So they have the larger content of the genetic material in the form of various distinctive chromosome structures. Okay, and here the genetic material remain present only freely floating in the cytoplasm, but here the genetic material in the form of chromosome remains inside the nucleus. It is bounded within the nucleus. Okay. In prokaryotic cell, membrane bounded organelles remain absent, like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and Golgi apparatus, and so on. Many more are not present inside the prokaryotic cell. But in eukaryotic cell, membrane bounded organelles are present. You can see the mitochondria, you can see the Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. Cell division. In prokaryotic, cell division occur by the budding or fission, which is a kind of asexual reproduction, not by mitosis. But here in eukaryotic cell division occur either by mitosis or meiosis. You must have an idea about the mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is a kind of equational division, while meiosis is a kind of reductional division. We will discuss in the higher classes about the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Okay, example of prokaryotic cells are bacteria and cyanobacteria. These are the primitive organisms. So thus they have the prokaryotic cell within them. So eukaryotic cell remain present inside the protozoans, advanced protozoans, fungi, plants, and animals. So these are the cells that remain present inside the body of modern organisms or advanced organisms, you can say. Okay. So now we are going to discuss the next topic, which is the basic structure of cell. Cell may differ or vary in shape, size, activity, but they resemble each other in a fundamental ways. Here you can see in this image, these are the different body cells. Fat cell is different, bone cell is different, blood cell is different, nervous cell is different, epithelial cell is different, immune cell, sex cell, and muscle cell. So these morphologically they are different and functionally they are also different, but they resemble with each other on a certain fundamental points. What are these points? How they resemble with each other? Let us discuss. Okay, so how they are going to resemble with each other? All cell have in common three major functional regions. What are these regions? These are plasma membrane or cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. So means all the eukaryotic cell must have these things. This is the mandatory things: plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Here you, in this diagram, you can see this is the cell membrane, outermost covering. Here it is a distinct nucleus or true nucleus is present. It means it is a kind of eukaryotic cell. And cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a liquid present inside the cell. Okay. So this is called the cytoplasm. But here a term, protoplasm. But what do you mean by protoplasm? What is protoplasm? Let us discuss about the protoplasm. Protoplasm refers to the all living substance of the cell enclosed by the plasma membrane or cell membrane. So that is why cytoplasm with nucleus or nucleus with cytoplasm all together is known as protoplasm, that remain bounded or that remain enclosed within the plasma membrane. So protoplasm is a living content of a cell. Okay. So next we are going to discuss about the parts of a cell. So cell can be divided into two different parts: plasma or cell membrane. Plasma or cell membrane, and the second part is protoplasm. But keep this thing in your mind: apart from the plasma membrane or cell membrane, plant cell have an additional protective covering which is called the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose outside the cell membrane. So it is a structure of plant cell. You can see clearly here another or extra layer is present here apart from the cell membrane, and this layer is called cell wall. Okay. Next, protoplasm. Protoplasm can further categorize as cytoplasm and nucleus. So we have already discussed about the protoplasm. Protoplasm is a living content. Nucleus and cytoplasm altogether is known as protoplasm. Okay. So cytoplasm. What is present inside the cytoplasm? Inside the cytoplasm, some cell organelles are present. okay, and cell inclusions are present. So we will discuss one by one about each of them, okay. So cell organelles. What are cell organelles? Cell organelles are the special part of the cell that can perform the various different functions for the cells. So they are helpful in the metabolic activation of the cell. Just like mitochondria, it is known as the powerhouse of the cell. Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, okay, responsible for protein synthesis. Lysosomes are known as societal bags. Peroxisomes, vacuoles provide the shape and structure to the cell. Centrosomes and plastids and many more, okay. So these cell organelles all together perform different kinds of function for the cell. Next, we will talk about the cell inclusions. So cell inclusion is nothing. These are the special type of granules or fat droplets remain present inside the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, nucleus. So nucleus has the distinct regions like nuclear membrane, okay, nucleolus, nucleoplast, and chromatin network. So separately we will discuss about the each cell organelles and their function in our next video. Hope you like this video. Thank you so much.